The cost of "I'll deal with it later." The most expensive sentence people say. Ancient Feng Shui perceived this pattern long before psychology, not through rooms or objects, but through how unfinished intention silently reshapes destiny. In classical Feng Shui, delayed action was never seen as neutral. It was understood as energy placed on hold, a subtle force that slowly redirects the course of a person's life. There is a phrase that silently costs people more money than bad investments, missed opportunities, or even financial mistakes. It doesn't sound dramatic. It doesn't seem dangerous. It seems reasonable. That phrase is "I'll deal with it later." People use it to refer to emails, decisions, conversations, projects, finances, health, relationships, paperwork, life direction. And they don't realize that every time they say it, they are charging interest, not on money, but on mental energy. Because what you postpone doesn't disappear, it waits. And while it waits, it drains focus, clarity, confidence, and financial momentum. This video is not about productivity. It's not about discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about the hidden cost of unfinished loops and why money avoids people who live in permanent postponement. Ancient Feng Shui noticed this long before modern psychology, not through decoration or objects yet, but through the way delayed intention quietly reshapes destiny. Stay with me, because once you see this, you won't hear "I'll deal with it later" the same way again.
Part 1. Why later feels safe but isn't. From a psychological perspective, postponement feels protective. In cognitive behavioral therapy, avoidance is often a short-term anxiety regulation strategy. When something feels uncomfortable, complex, or emotionally charged, the brain looks for relief. Postponing gives relief. The nervous system relaxes. The pressure drops. The discomfort pauses. But here's the problem. The brain does not register postponed tasks as neutral. It registers them as open threats. And open threats require monitoring. That monitoring consumes energy constantly. You don't feel it consciously. You feel it as mental fog, decision fatigue, reduced confidence, subtle irritability, financial hesitation. This is not laziness. It's cognitive overload caused by unfinished loops.
Part 2. The open loop effect. Explained simply. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, the brain's tendency to remember unfinished tasks more strongly than completed ones. An unfinished task stays active in the background, demanding attention. Now imagine this. One postponed email, one delayed decision, one avoided conversation, one unfinished project. Individually, they feel harmless. Together, they create mental background noise. That noise reduces focus, increases impulsivity, lowers tolerance for risk, and pushes the brain toward short-term relief instead of long-term planning. Money requires clarity. Clarity requires completion. What modern psychology calls avoidance, classical Feng Shui described as suspended qi, energy that has not been allowed to complete its movement. Part 3. What ancient Feng Shui already knew. Long before modern psychology gave names to concepts like open loops, avoidance, or cognitive overload, classical Feng Shui was already observing how unfinished intention shapes destiny. Guo Pu, in his foundational work Zhang Shu, the Book of Burial, explained that qi is not static energy, it is responsive. He taught that qi gathers where intention is clear, directed, and completed. And, just as importantly, he warned that qi becomes heavy and stagnant where intention hesitates. In Guo Pu's view, stagnation was never caused only by physical blockage. It was caused by human indecision interacting with environment. When an intention is delayed, not rejected, not resolved, but postponed, qi does not disappear. It enters a suspended state. Suspended qi is not neutral. It presses downward. It creates weight. It slows momentum. This is why Guo Pu emphasized that clarity of purpose mattered as much as location or form. A space or a life filled with unresolved intention gradually loses its ability to support growth. Centuries later, Yang Yun Song expanded this understanding even further. He observed that when matters remain unresolved, destiny does not pause, it repeats. In his teachings, unresolved actions create what he called fate loops, patterns that replay because the energy was never brought to completion. From this perspective, repetition in life is not bad luck, it is unfinished qi returning for resolution. This is a crucial distinction. Classical Feng Shui was never only about objects, rooms, or layouts. It was about movement versus suspension. Movement allows qi to circulate, refresh, and renew. Suspension traps qi in a holding pattern. Anything unresolved, emotionally, mentally, or behaviorally, holds qi in suspension. Suspended qi does not circulate, does not nourish, does not support expansion. It weighs, it pulls backward, it subtly anchors the future to the past. This is why in classical Feng Shui thought, wealth does not flow towards suspended energy. Money is dynamic. It moves toward clarity, resolution, and momentum. Where intention completes, qi moves. Where qi moves, opportunity follows. And where opportunity follows, money feels lighter and more available.
Part 4. Why unfinished business affects money first. Here's a critical insight most people miss. Unfinished business does not impact all areas of life equally. It hits money first. Why? Because money decisions require confidence, mental bandwidth, risk assessment, and long-term thinking. When the mind is overloaded with open loops, it defaults to playing safe, avoiding expansion, postponing growth, and maintaining survival mode. This shows up as hesitating to invest, avoiding financial conversations, underpricing skills, delaying opportunities, staying in familiar discomfort. People think they are being cautious. In reality, they are being cognitively taxed. Part 5. Deferred identity, the hidden cost. There's another layer here, deeper and more dangerous. In CBT, identity is shaped by repeated behavior. Every time you say, "I'll deal with it later," you reinforce an identity. I am someone who delays resolution. Over time, this becomes, "I'm not ready yet," or "I'll start when things calm down," or "now is not the right time." This is called deferred identity, and money avoids deferred identity, because money responds to decisiveness, not perfection. Part 6. Why busy people struggle more. Ironically, intelligent, capable, busy people suffer most from this pattern. Why? Because they juggle many responsibilities, carry high standards, avoid doing things half right, postpone until conditions feel ideal. But ideal conditions rarely arrive. So life becomes a series of, "I'll deal with it later. I'll come back to this. Not now." The result is not failure, it's constant incompletion, and incompletion drains prosperity. Part 7. The illusion of productivity. Many people confuse activity with progress. They are always busy, responding, reacting, managing, but reaction is not direction. Feng Shui distinguishes between movement and flow. Movement without resolution scatters qi. Flow requires closure. Money follows flow, not motion.
Part 8. Emotional weight and financial drag. Unfinished business carries emotional weight, not dramatic emotion, subtle emotion. Mild guilt, low-grade anxiety, background tension, self-doubt. This emotional drag affects negotiation confidence, decision speed, financial self-trust, willingness to expand. People don't feel blocked, they feel tired, and tired minds protect, they don't grow. Part 9. The most common later traps. Here are the most expensive postponements. I'll organize my finances later. I'll have that conversation later. I'll clean that up later. I'll decide later. I'll commit later. Each one leaves qi suspended. Each one taxes clarity. Each one quietly charges interest.
Part 10. Why completion creates confidence. Completion does something powerful. It sends a signal to the nervous system. I can trust myself. This builds emotional resilience, mental structure, financial confidence. Confidence is not optimism, it's evidence. Every resolved loop creates evidence. Money moves toward people who resolve.
Part 11. Activation through decision. Feng Shui is not passive. Yang Yun Song taught that intention must be activated through action. Modern CBT agrees. Insight without behavior change does not rewire identity. Activation does not require doing everything. It requires finishing one thing, one decision, one conversation, one task. Completion restores flow. Part 12. A simple practice. Choose one thing you've been postponing. Not the biggest, not the hardest, just one. Complete it today. Before you do, pause. Take one breath. Say internally, I choose clarity over delay. That is activation. Not mystical, neurological. Your brain registers completion. Your nervous system relaxes. Your confidence rises. Part 13. How this changes money. After completion, decisions become easier. Focus improves. Risk tolerance stabilizes. Opportunities feel manageable. Money feels less heavy. Not because money changed, because you did. Final message: the real cost of later. I'll deal with it later feels harmless, but later charges interest, not on money, on energy, on clarity, on confidence. And money follows confidence. You don't need to do more, you need to finish more. If this resonated, subscribe to Feng Shui Horizon. Here, we don't chase wealth, we remove what quietly blocks it.